Hello, this is Adam with DreamMade Productions. This video is made possible by the very kind donations of viewers like you. Thank you. If you are in a position to help this channel improve quality and grow, please visit my Patreon page at www.patreon.com/DreamMadeProductions, linked below.
It is the 31st century, and mankind is once again at war. The battlefields of the future are dominated by huge robotic war machines known as battle mechs.
Hello, and welcome back to The Arsenal, a series where we look at the weapons, equipment, and technology of the BattleTech universe. Today, we look at some improvements to a topic we have covered in the past. We advance the conversation on time-tested weapons centuries old. Today, we cover the LB10 and Ultra Autocannon 5. From the introduction of gunpowder, it did not take long before mankind began to look for ways to improve on those early designs. Simple wooden tubes soon gave way to metal cannons, solid cannon shot to shells and grape shot. As personal weapons also evolved into more reliable forms, they also began evolution into more specialized weapons. One way of improving a weapon's lethality is to increase the number of targets it can attack at once. One easy way to do that is to replace a single large projectile with several smaller ones. In the early days, shooting more than one round was not easy. The only real way to do it was to slap more barrels onto a single weapon. These volley guns let loose a hail of fire all at once, with the goal of removing more than one threat at a time. These were not rapid-fire weapons. You pull the trigger and all those barrels go at once. You get one really big shot, and reloading in combat was not really an option for these things. But let's put a pin in these multi-barrel weapons for now. The before-mentioned grape shot canister has many similarities with what we'll be looking at today. Grape shot was a canister filled with ideally small balls that would spread out when fired. You could, and they often did, use almost anything. Don't have a professionally milled canister of grape shot? Well, just shove enough nails, old door hinges, screws, bolts, whatever you can find laying around. It doesn't work as well, but when you have line after line after line of slowly advancing enemy troops determined to murder your face, well, you make do. Heavy weapons like the cannon soon evolved into tank guns we now call rifles and cannons. These weapons were later refined and combined into the age-old autocannon. The around 800-year-old autocannon has been and will continue to be a useful tool on the battlefield. However, anything can be improved, and in 2590, the Terran hegemony would do just that. The exact history of the LB10XAC has been lost. Even its name carries some controversy. What LB means depends on who you ask. Some say LB stands for large bore, due to the weapon's barrel being bulkier than the more traditional autocannon. Others say that LB stands for light barrel, in reference to the weapon's lighter weight. Still others say that LB stands for Lubelin Ballistics, the arms manufacturer that developed and marketed the weapon. Which is correct? Well, most likely Lubelin Ballistics. But after so many centuries, I doubt it really matters. everyone just refers to the thing as the LB without any further meaning really needed. Lubalin's brilliance was to take the classic heavy autocannon, the AC10, and begin two improvements. First was to lighten the weapon. Lubalin engineers redesigned the heavy autocannon to be built using the new Indo steel instead of more traditional components. The inclusion of the new building materials made the heavy autocannon slightly lighter, as well as less bulky than the classic AC-10. At 11 tons and 6 criticals, the LB10X is significantly lighter and smaller than its AC-10 predecessor. Another added benefit was Indo Steel's ability to more easily radiate heat through the weapon's barrel. While firing a burst from an AC-10 generates 3 waste heat, an equivalent load of pain delivered by the LB10 generates 2 heat. Lubalin's next improvement was to the classic heap round. Borrowing from the past, the LB10 uses a larger and more powerful slug round, capable of delivering the same damage potential as the heap, but in a more aerodynamic package. This improves the accuracy of the LB10 compared to the AC-10. The LB10 is deadly accurate at 6, dropping off slightly out to 12, but failing to be a threat beyond about 18. Compared to the AC-10's 5, 10, and 15 brackets, the LB has a significant range advantage. Had Lubalin stopped there, they would still have produced a winner, being smaller, lighter, and better range and lower heat. But they took things, well, more than one step further. We are talking several steps here. In addition to their slug heap round, Lubalin also introduced the canister heap round. Even by 2590, specialized ammunition was nothing new. What Lubalin did was to take a specialized round like fragmentation or flak rounds, and just like the heap round had done centuries before, made a single round solution to multiple problems. The canister heap round is, well, a high-tech grape shot round. Open one up and you get something very similar. A canister containing multiple smaller sub-munitions. But the similarities end there. The canister heap round is something of a smart weapon. The canister communicates with the unit's battle computer. Data is downloaded into the weapon just prior to firing. Unlike grape shot, the canister round stays intact until just before reaching its target. The canister then opens, dumping its contents into a relatively small area. This greatly increases the chance of scoring at least a few hits on what you're aiming at. What's more, since the round stays together, range is not really affected. The slug and canister rounds have the same range and flight characteristics. The only real difference is that some of the heat pellets may miss, but on the other hand, hitting with a few pellets is better than missing with the whole slug round. A heat pellet is fully capable of penetrating mech-grade armor, although its damage is relatively low, about half of light autocannon or AC2 burst. This seems small, but each LB10 round carries 10 of these little buggers. This spread of pellets has side benefits as well. Canister rounds are far more effective against infantry than standard heap rounds. And while not exactly a flak round, the LB canister round also has added benefits when used against airborne targets. As innovative as Lubalin was in designing the LB10, they were just as lax when it came to their success. Orders for the new LB10 flooded in, and Lubalin was more than happy to just rake in the cash. Having just spent a fortune on development costs, Lubelin's management was ready to reap the rewards. But success is its own kind of trap. Investors and management wanted to maximize their earnings, and an easy way to do that was to cut out expensive development. Scientists and engineers presented plans for applying the LB technology to other autocannon families, but with cash flowing in and patents securely in hand, Lubelin saw no need. Funds were diverted away from R&D to stock buybacks and other investments. Further, Lubelin used their new LB10 success to push Bergen Industries' new CHP1N battle mech. And while filling orders for other designs, Lubelin always preferred orders for the champion. Why can only be guessed at, but these decisions would have lasting consequences. When the Great War began, Lubelin's LB autocannons could be found on both sides, but no working examples of standard, light, or assault LB autocannons were in production. Rumors say that Lubelin rushed LB2s, LB5s, and LB20s into prototype during the war. Their chances of reinventing the market died in the fires of the succession wars. The LB10 and any examples of the other LB autocannons would be lost when the ability to produce Indo-steel was lost. The advanced electronics of the canister heap round would also become extremely difficult to produce. And while the ability to produce slug heap rounds never completely went away, well, having ammo for a gun that doesn't exist anymore is not exactly helpful. What became of Lubelin itself is not exactly known. As with many things during the Great War and the Secession Wars, they just kind of disappeared. Their facilities are noted as being within the Terran hegemony, but beyond that, what little we can piece together mostly comes from old news articles. Their sales would not save them, but it would save the technology. Each and every champion battle mech equipped with the LB10 came with documentation that provided details on the LB10's operation and maintenance. Apparently, early adopters of the LB10 thought they could use standard AC10 heap rounds to, let's go with unsuccessful results. Lubelin began including detailed instructions to field technicians for legal reasons. A breakthrough came in 3012 when Prince Ian Davian secured the Halstead Collection, a collection of books once in the library of a Star League-era university. Among these tomes was a legal dispute between Oriente and Lubelin's leased construction rights on the LB10. An exhibit included a copy of the patent designs. While not enough to completely recreate the lost LB10, it did give a starting point. Further, in an oddity of the Secession Wars, a full production line survived the nuclear annihilation. Oriente would get the last laugh on Lubelin. Oriente's full production line would survive almost completely intact. The line was quietly mothballed and placed into cold storage when Indo-steel became impossible to produce. The Federated Sons would field the first new LB10s in 3035. And while early examples were flawed, it did not take long for Oriente to hear of the LB10's rebirth, reopening their centuries-old dormant line. It did not take long before LB10X autocannons were produced by manufacturers all over the inner sphere. The story of Lubelin's LB10 was one path taken. Around the same time, Kawabata Weapons had another idea. While Lubelin designed the AC-10, into what was essentially a giant mech shotgun, Kawabata followed a different approach, increasing the amount of lead you can put down range. Kawabata's idea was a kind of machine gun autocannon, and so the quest for a rapid-fire autocannon began. Using the even by then ancient standard autocannon as a base, Kawabata designers crafted new actions that would allow for the receiving and firing of rounds much faster. The design required a level of precision far beyond that of the standard autocannon, as well as some reinforcement of the weapon to keep it from disassembling itself. But in 2640, Kawabata would challenge Lubalin's next generation autocannon supremacy. Furthering the difference in approaches, Kawabata had developed the weapon specifically for the new Sentinel STN-3L battle mech, but they would do all they could to make their new ultra autocannon as widely available as possible. Instead of concentrating mainly on the Sentinel, Kawabata would work with designers to lease the Ultra AC5 to be incorporated into time-tested designs. For a healthy cut of the profits, of course. As such, the Ultra 5 was growing in popularity when the Star League fell. And here is where our stories reconverge. Like Lubalin's LB design, fires of the Secession Wars destroyed the means of producing the precision parts needed for the ultra autocannon. Sadly, there would be no dusty, nearly forgotten but untouched production line. The ultra autocannon had to be reproduced from scratch, leading to flawed prototypes being fielded by FC forces in 3039. Kawabata's design was a simple idea, but few can argue with its effectiveness. The Ultra AC5 is only slightly heavier than the standard version. The Ultra AC5 weighs in at 9 Star League tons, while being slightly bulkier at 5 criticals. The Ultra autocannon's improvements does by slightly better range. The Ultra autocannon 5 shares its range being accurate out to 6, dropping off some out to 13, and becoming combat ineffective past 20, giving the Ultra 5 a tad more range at medium and long range, while reducing its minimum range down to 2. The AC5 class heap rounds deal 5 damage, generating 1 heat, but the Ultra is capable of putting twice the number down range at, of course, twice the heat cost. So if they all hit, you can deal double the damage. One drawback of Ultra autocannons is, well, all that recoil is a bitch. Rounds tend to drift more than with a standard autocannon, leading to the chances some miss or hit a different area on your target. Another issue is that the weapon can fail. Autocannons can fire all day and rarely run into any kind of mechanical problems. Using the standard autocannon as a template, Kawabata saved time on development and made the design simple to understand. But that engineering just was not designed to handle so many rounds in such a small amount of time. The magnetic feeding mechanism can experience thermal expansion and lead to rounds being hopelessly jammed into the action. This causes problems, as you can imagine. Back in the day, Kawabata created a stopgap solution. First was to include a standard firing mode. This allows you to dial the weapon back to the same output of a standard autocannon, losing the fire rate but retaining the slight increase in range and removing the chances of a jam. Kawabata's intention was to improve the design, removing the chance of jamming. They just, weren't able to. Every time they thought they had the problem licked, it just kept popping up. I do think it is fair to point out this is not a Kawabata problem. None of the manufacturers have been able to resolve the issue, and even the clans still struggle with jams. Maybe some problems just can't be solved. Well, that's about it for today. What do you think of the... Oh yeah, that. Well, as it turns out, there's more than one way to make a gun shoot faster, and designers of an improved autocannon would return to the multi-barrel design with the rotary autocannon. Don't worry, we will be getting to those shortly. Let me know below what you think of the LB10 and Ultra Autocannon 5. Do you have a preference? Who wins? The Lublin-based LB Autocannon family with their lighter weight, ammunition choice, and longer range, or the Ultra Autocannon family with their punishing fire? I have my choices, but I think I'll save that for when we look at the full LB and Ultra weapons lines. If there is a weapon or piece of equipment you want to see covered, let me know below. And as always, I hope you enjoy the battle reps that are to come. Hello, this is Adam with DreamMade Productions. Thank you for watching my content. It really means a lot that you have given me the chance to entertain you. If you would like to support the channel, please visit my Patreon at patreon.com/DreamMadeProductions, linked below. Also below is a link for PayPal, or links if you would like to send crypto, if that's more your thing. Please know any amount that you give will be cherished and used to upgrade equipment and improve the channel. You can also help the channel by subscribing, turning on notifications, liking, commenting, and sharing my channel with anyone you think might be interested. Thank you again for watching, and I hope you enjoy the battle reps that are to come.